You've always been pathetic at managing money, my brother Stephen sneered, lounging on my leather couch, the one I'd paid for, like everything else in this house. Maybe this is karma for being such a control freak. I'm Meredith, and until yesterday, I was the Vice President of Operations at Sterling Corp. Today, I'm unemployed for the first time in 14 years, and my family is celebrating my downfall like it's Christmas morning. Seriously, Mer? My sister Alexis chimed in, not bothering to look up from her phone. How does someone even get laid off from a job like that? Didn't you say you were, essential or whatever? The merger had blindsided everyone. 15 years of climbing the corporate ladder, of sacrificing every weekend, every relationship, every dream I'd ever had, gone in a 15-minute meeting with HR. But trying to explain corporate politics to Alexis would be like teaching quantum physics to a goldfish. I'm sure your sister did her best, Mum said, sipping her wine. The same wine I'd bought her last Christmas. Though I always said you should have married Richard when you had the chance. He's a surgeon now, you know. The kitchen counter dug into my palms as I gripped it harder. The severance package is generous. We'll be fine for a few months while Stephen interrupted, finally sitting up. Oh no, don't tell me you're planning to keep bankrolling this whole setup. Haven't you learned anything? What exactly are you suggesting? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Stephen had been waiting for years to see me fail, ever since I'd out-earned him straight out of college. Maybe it's time you moved out, Mum said, as if she'd just suggested I try a new hairstyle. The market's good for selling. We could all use a fresh start. I stared at her, my mouth going dry. This is my house. I bought it. Your names aren't even on the deed. Alexis finally looked up. But you always said this was our family home. You can't just... Can't what? My voice cracked. Can't stop supporting 3 fully capable adults who haven't paid a single bill in 5 years? Here we go again with the Martyr Act. Stephen rolled his eyes. Nobody asked you to play provider, Mer. That was your choice. My phone buzzed. A text from Aurora. How'd they take the news? Need an escape plan? I need some air, I announced, grabbing my keys. Nobody responded as I headed for the door. Don't forget, we need the pool cleaned, Mum called out just as I reached for the handle. And Alexis needs her car insurance paid by Friday. The door slammed behind me with a satisfying bang. In my car, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. Another text from Aurora lit up my phone. My place, wine, ice cream, no judgment zone. 20 minutes later, I was curled up on Aurora's couch, ugly crying into a glass of Merlot while she rubbed my back. You know what the worst part is? I wiped my eyes. They're right. Nobody asked me to do any of this. I chose it. I chose to be the responsible one after Dad died. I chose to put them first. And now you're free, Aurora finished, topping off my glass. Mer, I've watched you put your life on hold for them for 15 years. Maybe this is your chance to finally do what you want. What I want? I laughed bitterly. I don't even know what that is anymore. Yes, you do. Aurora disappeared into her home office and returned with a worn sketchbook, my old design portfolio from college. Remember this? My hands trembled as I opened it. Pages of sustainable fashion designs, fabric swatches, business plans, dreams I'd packed away when reality came knocking. That was a fantasy, I muttered, but my fingers lingered on a particularly detailed dress design. No, that was you, the real you, before you became their ATM. Aurora's voice softened. The severance package, how much? Enough to live on for 6 months, maybe more if I'm careful. Then use it. Build something for yourself for once. My phone buzzed again. Stephen. Mum wants to know when dinner will be ready. I stared at the message, then at my old sketches, then back at the phone. Something shifted inside me, like a key turning in a lock. You know what? I stood up, surprising even myself with the steadiness in my voice. I think it's time they learned how to cook their own dinner. Aurora grinned, raising her glass. Now that's the Meredith I remember. The scent of fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls filled Greta's studio, a converted warehouse space where fashion dreams came to life. I hadn't been here in years, not since I'd abandoned my internship to take the corporate job that would support my family. Still take it black? Greta asked, sliding a steaming mug across her workbench. She hadn't aged a day, still rocking her signature silver pixie cut and vintage designer glasses. Some things never change, I smiled, inhaling the familiar aroma. But some things should. Greta pulled out my old portfolio, the twin of the one Aurora had shown me last night. I kept this, whenever I needed to remind myself what raw talent looks like. Greta, I didn't come here to what? To remember how brilliant you were. To face the fact that you threw away a promising career in sustainable fashion to become your family's personal bank. I flinched. That's not fair. My father had just died, and someone had to step up. And now? She raised an eyebrow. What's your excuse now, Meredith? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Alexis, the Wi-Fi's not working, and Mum's having a meltdown because she can't watch her shows. Fix it! Greta glanced at the message. Interesting how they still expect you to solve their problems even after mocking your job loss. Force of habit, I guess. I switched off my phone. They don't know how to function without me. No, they don't want to know. Greta walked to a rack of clothing samples, running her fingers along the sustainable fabrics. Remember this material? You were obsessed with developing eco-friendly alternatives to fast fashion. I touched the fabric, bamboo silk, soft as a cloud but durable as denim. The market wasn't ready then. It is now. Sustainable fashion is a multi-billion-dollar industry. She pulled out a tablet, showing me statistics and trends. And you already have the foundation. Your old business plan was solid. That was 10 years ago. So update it. Greta's voice softened. Look, I'm not just being nostalgic here. I have 3 major investors looking for fresh talent in the sustainable fashion space. They trust my judgment, and I've never forgotten what you can do. My heart raced. You can't be serious. Dead serious, but you'd have to be all in. No more playing mommy to grown adults who treat you like their personal assistant. As if on cue, my phone lit up again. Stephen this time. Where are you? The gardener came and I don't know which areas need work. Come home now. They'd never understand, I whispered. Do they understand you now? Greta challenged. Do they appreciate your sacrifices, respect your choices? No, I admitted, the word feeling like freedom on my tongue. Then what exactly are you losing by choosing yourself for once? A memory flashed. Me at 22, staying up all night sketching designs, dreaming of revolutionizing the fashion industry. The girl who believed she could change the world, one sustainable garment at a time. The investors, I said slowly, what would they need from me? Greta's face lit up. A solid business plan, updated market research, and 3 sample designs by next month. I can help you refine everything, but the vision has to be yours. Next month? My stomach churned. That's so soon. Time to decide, Meredith. Are you going to keep enabling their dependency, or are you going to reclaim your life? Another buzz from my phone. Mum, the gardener left because you weren't here. I'm adding his fee to your expenses since this is your fault. Something snapped inside me. I grabbed my old portfolio and opened it to my favourite design, a versatile dress made from recycled materials. Can I use your workspace? I asked, already reaching for a pencil. I have some updating to do. Greta's smile was answer enough. She pulled up a chair and set down a fresh sheet of paper. Welcome back to the fashion world, darling. Let's make them regret ever doubting you. As I began sketching, my phone kept buzzing with demands and complaints, but for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty ignoring them. Instead, I felt something else, something I'd almost forgotten. I felt alive. By the way, Greta said, watching my pencil fly across the paper, I'm hosting a fashion industry networking event next week. Several of my potential investors will be there. I looked up, catching her meaningful gaze. Are you suggesting? I'm suggesting it's time to show the world what you can do. She paused. And maybe show your family what they're about to lose. My pencil moved faster, fueled by a decade of suppressed ambition. They wanted to celebrate my failure. Fine, I'd give them something else to talk about instead. You look like $1 million, Aurora whistled as I emerged from her bathroom in a sample dress I'd created. The networking event was starting in an hour, and I'd chosen her place to get ready, knowing my family would only try to sabotage me if I did it at home. More like $300 of sustainable bamboo fabric, I laughed, smoothing down the dress. It was my original design, updated for modern tastes, sleek, professional, with hidden pockets and adjustable features that made it perfect for any body type. Speaking of money, Aurora said, handing me a glass of water, have they noticed you haven't paid any bills this month? Oh, they've noticed. I checked my phone, 17 missed calls and 32 texts. Stephen's electricity got cut off yesterday. He left me 5 voicemails about how I'm destroying the family. Because heaven forbid he pay his own bills, Aurora rolled her eyes. How's the business plan coming? I pulled up the document on my tablet. Greta's been amazing. We've been working 16-hour days getting everything ready. The investors tonight. My phone rang. Mum's face flashed on the screen. You should answer it, Aurora said quietly. You can't avoid them forever. I took a deep breath and picked up. Hello? Finally, Mum's voice crackled through the speaker. Where have you been? The utilities are all overdue. Alexis needs new tyres and Stephen's electricity. I lost my job, Mom, I cut in, surprising myself with my steady tone. Remember, when you all laughed about it. Don't be dramatic, dear. You still have your severance package. Which I'm investing in my future. What future? She scoffed. Those silly fashion drawings again. Meredith, you need to be realistic. Come home now and we'll sort out these bills. Aurora squeezed my hand as I replied, No, Mom, I won't be doing that. Excuse me? I said no. I'm on my way to meet with investors who believe in my silly drawings. If you need money, I suggest you all get jobs. I hung up before she could respond, my hands shaking but my resolve stronger than ever. Proud of you, Aurora grinned, helping me with my earrings. Now let's go show those investors what you've got. The event was held in Greta's expanded studio space, now transformed into an elegant showcase. My designs were displayed prominently. Sustainable, versatile, affordable fashion that could revolutionize the industry. Meredith! Greta waved me over to a group of sharp-dressed individuals. Let me introduce you to Marcus and Patricia. They're very interested in your vision for accessible, sustainable fashion. The next hour flew by as I presented my business plan, explained my designs, and answered questions about market strategy. My corporate experience actually helped. I understood the numbers, the logistics, the supply chain challenges. Your passion is evident, Patricia said, examining one of my dresses, and your understanding of both the business and creative aspects is impressive. We'd like to schedule a formal pitch meeting next week, Marcus added. Your mentor, Greta, speaks very highly of you, and we can see why. As they moved on to network with others, Greta pulled me aside, beaming. They love you. I haven't seen them this excited about a new designer in years. My phone buzzed again. Stephen had joined the text barrage. Mum's crying because of you. Hope you're happy with yourself, you selfish bitch. Greta read the message over my shoulder. You know what the best revenge is? Success. And darling, you're about to be very successful. Miss Johnston? A young woman approached with a recorder. I'm from Fashion Forward magazine. We'd love to do a feature on your sustainable fashion line. Your story of corporate executive turned eco-conscious designer is exactly what our readers love. I caught Greta's encouraging nod and smiled. I'd be happy to share my story. Later that night, as Aurora and I celebrated with takeout and wine, my phone lit up with a text from Alexis. OMG, just saw your designs online from the event. Those are actually really good. Why didn't you tell us? Also, when are you paying the bills? I showed the text to Aurora, who snorted. Funny how they're suddenly interested in your silly drawings when they think you might be successful. Too little, too late, I said, turning off my phone. I'm done being their safety net. So what's next? I pulled out my tablet, showing her the preliminary numbers from the investors. Next, I build an empire, and then, when it's built. Then what? I thought about the years of mockery, the dismissal, the entitled demands. Then I show them exactly what they lost when they chose to tear me down instead of build me up. Aurora clinked her glass against mine. Now that's a business plan I can get behind. Your website crashed again, Greta announced, bursting into our new office space. Third time this week. Too many orders. I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been finalising our next collection. 6 months had passed since the networking event, and my sustainable fashion line had exploded beyond our wildest expectations. The Fashion Forward article really did it, I said, pulling up our sales dashboard. Who knew being labelled the corporate runaway would resonate with so many people? Speaking of running away, Greta handed me a coffee. How's the family situation? Before I could answer, my office door flew open. Alexis stormed in, waving her phone like a weapon. You're on the cover of Business Weekly, she shrieked. Why didn't you tell us? Mum saw it at the dentist's office. I took a calm sip of coffee. The same reason you didn't tell me when you crashed my car last month. We're not exactly communicating these days. That's different. And anyway, we wouldn't have to use your car if you'd just help us out like before. Need something, Alexis? She deflated slightly, dropping into the chair across from my desk. The bank's threatening foreclosure on Mum's credit cards, and Stephen's car got repossessed yesterday. Sounds like personal problems to me. Come on, your company's worth millions now. The magazine also said I succeeded because I stopped letting toxic people drain my resources. I stood up, straightening my own design, a power suit made from recycled materials. Was there anything else? Alexis's face hardened. You've changed. No, I've remembered who I was before you all convinced me my dreams were silly. We're family. Family supports each other. Family doesn't laugh when someone loses their job. Family doesn't... My phone rang, the investor's ringtone. I have to take this. You can see yourself out. After Alexis left, Greta poked her head back in. You okay? Never better, I smiled and meant it. The website team called. They've upgraded our servers. We should be able to handle the traffic now. Good, because look at this. She handed me her tablet, showing a social media post gone viral. A major celebrity had worn one of my designs to a climate change conference, praising its sustainable nature and practical elegance. Orders are about to go through the roof, Greta grinned. Again. My phone buzzed, Stephen this time. Just saw your stupid magazine cover. Real nice. Making Mum cry like that. Hope you're proud of yourself. I was about to delete it when another message came through. BTW, since you're so successful now, you could at least help with the bills. My girlfriend left me because of the electricity thing. Still keeping tabs on you, I see. Greta nodded at my phone. Only when they want something. I turned back to my work. The new collection won't design itself. Later that evening, as I was locking up the office, Aurora arrived with takeout. Thought you could use dinner. Heard about Hurricane Alexis's visit. News travels fast. She posted a 12-paragraph rant about you on Facebook, called you a capitalist sellout who abandoned her principles and her family. I laughed, opening the food containers. I abandoned my principles by starting an ethical, sustainable fashion company. You know what really kills them? Aurora said between bites. You're doing better without them than you ever did with them. My phone lit up again. Mum this time. Darling, I know we've had our differences, but I've been thinking, why don't you come for dinner on Sunday? We can discuss investment opportunities. Family should stick together in business, don't you think? Unbelievable, I showed Aurora the message. Now they want to be business partners. What are you going to say? I thought about the years of dismissal, the mocking, the entitled demands. I thought about Stephen's sneers and Mum's constant criticism. I thought about Alexis's endless expectations. Then I thought about my growing company, my amazing team, and the difference we were making in sustainable fashion. Nothing, I decided, deleting the message. I'm going to say nothing at all. Aurora raised her eyebrow. That's not like you. The old me would have explained, justified, tried to make peace. The new me, she's too busy building an empire. My phone buzzed one final time. A notification from Business Weekly. Corporate Runaways Sustainable Fashion Line valued at $50 million after latest investment round. I showed Aurora the alert, and she whistled. Now that's what I call karma. No, I smiled, thinking of the eviction notices sitting in my desk drawer, waiting for the right moment. Karma's what happens next. Meredith, Aurora's eyes widened as she caught my meaning. Are you really going to? They wanted to celebrate when I lost everything, I said, gathering my things. Let's see how they handle losing everything themselves. The office lights clicked off behind us, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely in control of my own story. The property is legally yours, Ben, my lawyer confirmed, spreading documents across his mahogany desk. You've been more than generous letting them stay there rent-free for 8 months since losing your job. I nodded, fingering the edge of the eviction papers. And the timeline? Standard procedure is 30 days' notice. Given your family's history of entitlement, I'd recommend having law enforcement present when serving the notices. My phone buzzed. A group text from Mom. Family dinner tonight. Non-negotiable. We need to discuss your recent decisions. Speaking of entitlement, I showed Ben the message. They're demanding my presence at a family dinner. Perfect timing, actually. You could serve the notices then. I hesitated. Isn't that cruel? Crueler than how they treated you? He pulled up their social media posts from the past months, screenshots of their mocking comments about my job loss, followed by their recent attempts to claim credit for my success. Point taken. The family house looked exactly as I'd left it, except for the obvious signs of neglect. The garden I'd maintained was overgrown, and Stephen's expensive car sat collecting dust in the driveway, clearly unusable since the repossession. Finally, Mom exclaimed as I walked in, we were about to start without you. The dining room was set elaborately, with the china I'd bought, of course. Stephen and Alexis sat at the table, both wearing forced smiles. Nice of you to grace us with your presence, Stephen sneered. Too busy being a fashion mogul to answer our calls. Actually, yes. I set my designer bag on the table, one of my own creations. Running a multi-million-dollar company takes time. About that, Mum cut in, serving portions of what smelled like her signature roast. We've been discussing as a family. Oh, now we're discussing things as a family, I interrupted. Not like when you all laughed at my unemployment? Water under the bridge, darling, Mum waved dismissively. We've had some wonderful ideas about expanding your business. Stephen has an MBA, you know. The same MBA he was using to mock my silly fashion drawings? Alexis jumped in. We all say things we don't mean when we're stressed, Mer. And speaking of stress, my credit card was declined at Nordstrom yesterday. Enough. I pulled out the envelope containing the eviction notices. I didn't come here to discuss business opportunities or credit cards. What's that? Stephen asked, eyeing the envelope. Your 30 days' notice, all of you. The silence that followed was deafening. Mum recovered first. Don't be ridiculous, darling. This is our home. No, it's my home. My name is on the deed. My money paid for it, and I want you out. Stephen stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. You can't do this to us. We're family. Family? I laughed. Was it family when you called me pathetic for losing my job? When you mocked my dreams? When you treated me like an ATM for 15 years? We were just, Alexis started. Just what? Just taking advantage of my guilt after Dad died? Just assuming I'd keep funding your lazy lifestyles forever? Mum's face hardened. If this is about money, this is about consequences, I cut her off. This is about years of emotional manipulation and entitlement. This is about karma. Karma? Stephen spat. Look who's talking. You're throwing your own family out on the street. No, I'm asking capable adults to finally support themselves. I stood up, dropping the notices on the table. You have 30 days. Or what? Alexis challenged. Or the sheriff will escort you out. I've already arranged it. Mum's face crumpled. You wouldn't? Try me. I grabbed my bag. Oh, and one more thing. I've arranged for a property management company to take over. Don't bother trying to guilt-trip me through them. They have strict instructions. You'll regret this, Stephen called after me as I walked toward the door. You're nothing without us. I turned back one last time. Actually, I'm everything I was meant to be before you convinced me I was nothing but your personal bank account. Outside, Aurora waited in her car. How'd it go? About as well as expected. I buckled my seatbelt as shouts erupted from the house behind us. They'll probably try to fight it. And they'll lose. Ben made sure everything's airtight. My phone started buzzing with messages and calls, but I switched it off without looking. The weight I'd carried for 15 years lifted from my shoulders with each mile we drove away from the house. You know what's funny? I said as we pulled up to my new apartment building. They never once asked if I was okay after I lost my job. Not once. Aurora squeezed my hand. They're lost, literally now. I laughed, and it felt like freedom. They're trying to contest the eviction, Ben announced, striding into my office 2 weeks after the family dinner. Your brother hired a lawyer. I looked up from the sustainable fabric samples I'd been reviewing. On what grounds? Verbal agreement of lifetime residency. Ben dropped a file on my desk. They're claiming you promised they could live there forever. Of course they are. I rubbed my temples. What's our next move? Before Ben could answer, my assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Miss Johnston, your mother's here. She's refusing to leave without seeing you. Speaking of next moves, Ben raised an eyebrow. Send her in, I sighed. Better face this head on. Mum swept in wearing her best victim expression, the one that had guilted me into compliance for 15 years. Darling, we need to talk about this ridiculous eviction business. The only ridiculous thing is Stephen trying to claim I promised lifetime residency. Well, you did always say it was our family home. A home I paid for, I cut in. A home you all took for granted while mocking my career choices. Ancient history, she waved dismissively. We've apologized for that. Have you? When exactly? Mum faltered. Well, it was implied when you realized I was successful. When you thought you could profit from my company. I stood up, smoothing my dress, another of my designs. Or when you got the eviction notice. You're being cruel, she sniffed. What will people think? They'll think I'm a successful businesswoman who stopped enabling toxic family dynamics. We're not toxic, we're your family. Family doesn't celebrate when one of their own loses their job, I said quietly. Family doesn't mock dreams or demand money or… Oh, here we go with the martyrdom again, she threw up her hands. Stephen was right. You're just bitter because you chose to support us. Chose? I laughed. You manipulated me after Dad died. You made me feel responsible for everyone's happiness except my own. That's not. Remember what you said when I got laid off? That I should have married Richard instead of focusing on my career. The career that kept you all comfortable for 15 years. Mum's face hardened. If you do this, if you throw us out, don't expect to ever hear from us again. Is that supposed to be a threat? I pressed the intercom. Sarah, please escort my mother out, and if she returns, call security. You've changed, Mum spat as my assistant appeared at the door. No, I've remembered who I was before you convinced me my only value was in serving others. After she left, Ben whistled low. That was impressive. It was necessary. I checked my phone, 15 missed calls from Stephen and a series of threatening texts from Alexis. What do we do about their legal challenge? Already handled? He pulled out another document. I had a feeling they'd try something like this. I've got signed statements from your contractors, utility companies, and bank proving you're the sole owner and financial contributor. They don't have a leg to stand on. My phone buzzed again, this time with a news alert. Someone had leaked the eviction story to the media. Fashion maven evicts family, heartless success story, or justified independence. Great, I muttered. Now it's public. Actually, Ben smiled, this could work in our favour. Their social media posts mocking your job loss, their recent attempts to claim credit for your success. It all paints a pretty clear picture of who the real victims are here. My office door burst open as Greta rushed in. Have you seen the online response to your story? Women everywhere are sharing similar experiences of family exploitation. You've started a movement. She thrust her tablet at me. The hashtag #YourNoMoreEnablers was trending, filled with stories of people breaking free from toxic family dynamics. This wasn't what I intended, I said, scrolling through the posts. Sometimes the best movements start unintentionally, Greta squeezed my shoulder. You're giving people courage to set boundaries. My phone lit up with a text from Aurora. Stephen's outside your building doing interviews, playing victim. Want me to send over that video of him mocking your job loss? I showed the message to Ben and Greta. What do you think? I think, Ben said carefully, it's time to show the world the whole story. Including the part where they celebrated my failure? I asked. Especially that part, Greta nodded. Let them try to explain that to the media. I took a deep breath and texted Aurora back. Send it, all of it. Time for everyone to see the truth. As I watched Stephen's interview playing on mute on my office TV, crying about his cruel sister abandoning family values, I felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction or revenge, but peace. The truth was finally coming out, and I wasn't the villain in this story. I never had been. They're refusing to leave, the police officer informed me, standing in my old driveway on eviction day. Your brother's barricaded himself inside, claiming squatters' rights. I shared a look with Ben, who already had his phone out. I'll get an emergency court order. The media circus around us had grown throughout the morning, cameras rolling, reporters shouting questions. The hashtag #AskNoMoreEnablers had evolved into Dazla Meredith's stand, with supporters gathering across the street holding signs. Meredith, Alexis appeared at the front door. Please, can we talk? Just us sisters. Ben touched my arm. Remember, anything you say can be used against you in court. I know. I approached the door, keeping a safe distance. What is it, Alexis? You're really going through with this? After everything we've been through? After everything you've put me through, I corrected. Where's Mom? Upstairs, having a panic attack. Stephen's live streaming everything, saying you're destroying the family for publicity. A commotion erupted behind me as Aurora pushed through the crowd, waving her phone. Got it! Stephen's live stream just backfired. Someone dug up his old posts mocking your job loss. The comments are brutal. Alexis's face fell. He didn't mean those things. Really? I pulled out my own phone, playing the video from that day. Stephen's voice rang out clear and cruel. You've always been pathetic at managing money. Maybe this is karma for being such a control freak. That was months ago, Alexis protested weakly. And this was last week. I played another clip, Stephen's interview calling me a heartless corporate sellout. Funny how his story changes when he needs something from me. We're not all like him. No, where were you when he said those things? When Mom suggested I should have married rich instead of building a career? When everyone laughed at my silly fashion drawings that are now worth millions? The front door opened wider as Mom appeared, mascara streaking her cheeks. Meredith, please, we can work something out. Like what? Another promise you won't keep? More guilt trips? More manipulation? We're changing. We understand now. You understand that I'm successful, I cut in. You understand that I have money and power. That's all you understand. Stephen's voice boomed from upstairs. She's lying. We always supported her dreams. Roll the footage, Aurora called out to the news crews, who promptly began playing the compilation of Stephen's mockery on their cameras. The crowd across the street grew louder, their support signs waving. A chant started. No more enabling! No more abuse! This is your last chance, I addressed my family. Leave voluntarily or the police will remove you. You'd do that, Mum's voice cracked, to your own mother. You did worse to your own daughter for 15 years. Ben returned, court order in hand. Everything's set. Officers can proceed. Stephen appeared at the top of the stairs, his live stream camera pointed at his face. You hear that, everyone? My sister's having her own family forcibly removed. Some role model she is. Sir, the police officer called up, you have 5 minutes to exit the premises voluntarily before we enter. I'll sue you, Stephen shouted. I'll tell everyone what you really are. You already have, I replied calmly. And all you've done is show everyone exactly why this is necessary. Alexis grabbed my arm. What about me? I never said those horrible things. No, you just stood by and watched. You took and took and took, never once considering what it cost me. The police began moving toward the house. Stephen's live stream abruptly cut off. Mum sank to her knees, playing to the cameras with theatrical sobs. 3 minutes, the officer announced. Meredith, Mum tried one last time, if you do this, we're no longer family. We stopped being family the moment you celebrated my lowest point, I said. The moment you chose mockery over support. The moment you saw me as a resource instead of a daughter. The next few minutes unfolded like a slow-motion film. Stephen, escorted out in handcuffs for resisting. Mum, walking out with her head high, playing martyr for the cameras. Alexis, trailing behind with her designer bags, all purchased with my money. As they were driven away in separate police cars, Aurora stood beside me. You okay? I watched the house, my house, being secured by the authorities. Years of manipulation, guilt and exploitation ended with the click of new locks. You know what's strange? I said, turning away from the cameras. I thought this would feel like revenge. And it doesn't? No, I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in 15 years. It feels like freedom. Behind us, the crowd continued chanting, their message echoing what I'd finally learned. Sometimes the strongest family bonds are the ones you break. And that's how I ended up being the face of toxic family dynamics in corporate America, I concluded, addressing the packed auditorium. The Women's Leadership Summit had invited me to give the keynote speech, and the story of my journey had held the audience spellbound. "Questions?" The moderator scanned the raised hands. "Yes, in the blue blazer." "Did your family ever try to contact you again after the eviction?" "They tried everything," I admitted. "Fake apologies, media manipulation, even a frivolous lawsuit. But here's what I learned. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop loving people who hurt you." Another hand shot up. "What happened to the house?" "I turned it into a transitional home for women leaving toxic family situations." I smiled. It seemed fitting. After the speech, Aurora met me backstage. "Guess who's trying to crash the VIP reception?" "Stephen." "Close! Alexis!" I sighed, checking my reflection in the mirror. "Let me guess. She needs money?" "Actually," Aurora handed me her phone, showing a social media post. "She started her own business, a knockoff of your sustainable fashion line." I laughed. Finally taking initiative. Too bad she's still trying to profit off my success. "Ms. Johnston," my assistant poked her head in. "There's a letter for you. Security checked it. It's from your mother." The envelope felt heavy in my hands. Aurora squeezed my shoulder. "Want me to stay while you read it?" "No," I took a deep breath. "I need to do this alone." The letter was handwritten, Mum's elegant script filling 3 pages. "Dearest Meredith, I won't ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. Watching your speech online today, I finally saw what we did to you, what I did to you. After your father died, I turned you into a replacement provider instead of letting you be my daughter. I'm in therapy now. The therapist helped me understand how I manipulated you, used your guilt and sense of duty against you. Stephen refuses to see anyone. He's still bitter, still blaming you. Alexis, at least, is trying to stand on her own feet, even if she's going about it the wrong way. I'm not writing to ask for money or reconciliation. I'm writing because today, for the first time, I'm proud of you. Not because of your success or your money, but because you found the strength to break free from the prison we built around you. The house becoming a shelter for women like you. It's perfect. You turned your pain into purpose. I wish I could have been the mother you deserved. With love and regret, Mum." A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Greta entered, her face concerned. "You okay? Aurora told me about the letter." "I'm okay." I folded the paper carefully. "Actually, I'm better than okay. For the first time, my mother saw me." And it doesn't change anything." I stood up, straightening my dress. "But it changes everything." The VIP reception was in full swing when we arrived. I spotted Alexis being escorted out by security, her protests fading into the night. Stephen's latest social media rant played on someone's phone. Something about family betrayal and karma. "Your brother never learns, does he?" Ben appeared with champagne. By the way, his lawsuit got thrown out. Judge called it frivolous and vindictive. "Speaking of vindictive," Aurora joined us, "the women's shelter is full. Your story really inspired people to break free." I raised my glass. "To breaking free." "And to building something better," Greta added. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. "Saw your speech. You were magnificent. No response needed, just wanted you to know." For the first time since this all began, I felt no anger, no guilt, no need for revenge. Just peace. You know what the biggest lesson was? I addressed my friends. It wasn't about revenge or karma. It was about choosing myself. "To choosing yourself," they echoed, glasses clinking. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars. Tomorrow, I'd launch our new collection. Tomorrow, I'd help another woman find her strength at the shelter. Tomorrow, I'd continue building the life I deserved. But tonight, surrounded by people who truly loved me, I celebrated the most important design I'd ever created, the redesign of my own life. Ready to head out? Aurora asked as the reception wound down. Actually, I smiled, feeling truly free. I'm exactly where I need to be. And I was. Finally, perfectly, completely, I was.